cemetery.
So I'd like to add something to that update, please, if you don't mind. And it's with regards to people that use the dead, you know, use their spirits, you know, and they send tobacco and protocol and money to their medicine men or whoever they want to have someone harmed or whatever. That all is involved in the cemetery. And I think what's happening right now is that maybe we need to have somebody come out and do another tobacco burning for that cemetery, because I don't know who's being disturbed. My reasoning for bringing this up right now is you heard the ruckus in the back of the room. I had to tell somebody about 5 times to get away from me. And the young girls, you know, your staff, I'd like to know who's getting paid here today. You know, they're laughing and
Point of order.
they make fun. Excuse me, Brandon. I don't know if you sent your employee to do this to me, but they came up to me.
Point of order, we're on the work plan, and that's what
and I'm asking to be added to that work plan. We need an update on this stuff, and I think that I'm asking that to be added because your people are getting out of hand. When they want to come to me and talk to me about my dead son and say, your son wants to talk to you, we've seen a medium, that's your employees. Those are your people that are doing that to me. If it's under your direction, then I have a right to address it, and I'd like to add it to this project. I think we need to address that because that's a problem right now. When somebody comes to me on this floor and says, I need to talk to you, I have a message for you, it's very important. Your son wants to talk to you, we talk to a medium. You know what, stop you, and I said this quite a few times, is I don't appreciate you just using my dead son. And that's what's happening. It happened here this morning. And I can do a complaint. I can do a verbal complaint, I can do a written complaint, and I do a verbal complaint against your assistant, R.C. Cornelius, Maureen Escamilla, Rocky Hill, and Becky Webster. They might think they're cute and funny, and they're not. And they laugh about it, and then they come up and they try to pull a little number on me about my dead son. And you want to play games on this floor?
We did not. Nobody
they're on
heard
work
that,
time,
and I'm sorry.
and it's related to the cemetery because they're bringing up my dead son.
Kathy, yes, I understand. I wasn't involved. I have no idea what was occurring.
Well, now you know.
And now you're giving us information, and I would expect that you would submit a complaint on what you believe had occurred.
According to the policies of the Blue Book and the tribe, a verbal complaint is just as much as a written complaint.
And we're trying to
and
conduct
I'm trying to
business.
tell you that.
We're trying to conduct business here, Kathy.
And I'm trying to tell you, I want this update added to your cemetery. It's to add it.
An update
I brought this
on
up before.
On the tobacco
You're
burning?
sending tobacco and money out west to the medicine men. You're one of those people, and I'm trying to address you.
Please sit down. This is ridiculous now. Those are some pretty heavy accusations that you're making, and I don't appreciate them. Nancy? Nancy? Nancy?
I don't think that my request is unreasonable.
I'm not saying it isn't.
And some of you have been up here before, and you saw what we went through, and we were made to be afraid to come up here and talk. And now people are not afraid anymore, and anybody can get up here and talk about anything as long as it's on the agenda. And so I brought this up before. This cemetery has been nothing but a struggle and a fight. It took me over 4 years to get the 950-page report, and I am still want information. I am not interested in blaming anybody about this cemetery. We know what went wrong. We can talk about that. We can go backwards and talk about all of that if you want to. And so again, I'm going to ask for Pat Pelkey to write a report, a consolidated report regarding just the land office, land commission, land committee, all of their involvement from day one. I think it's important. We need to know that. There were people who came up here to tell us who were directly involved back when the very first baby was buried in that cemetery. And it began a struggle then. Somebody was told that land was not suitable, and somebody waved a magic wand and said, go ahead and bury that baby there. And so now here we are. the same people who've been in position since the very beginning. You've all been aware of the issues. And you're also aware that there were recommendations when the previous studies were done, and those weren't followed. And so here we are today. And, you know, I always make reference to my dad because he would tell you, this is what happens when you don't do things. Excuse me, if you guys want to talk, you can go into the back of the room. Because, could you call for a point of order here, Madam Vice Chair?
They're done. Go ahead, Nancy.
Anyways, as my dad would say, when you don't do things right the first time, you make yourself twice as much work. So here we are, how many years later? I think it's 16 years since the first baby's been born, 14 years maybe. And we're still trying to figure out what's wrong and how to fix it. One other report that I'm going to request along with these is, I see Dennis is here today, Dennis Johnson, and he is the technical person who actually does the work out there. And what we've never been reported to or have had, I don't have anything in writing regarding whether, what those monitoring wells and French drain tiles, I know that, you know, we've been told it's working. Well, I don't know that, and I'm not taking anybody's word anymore regarding this cemetery, regarding any of it, unless I have something in writing. So I'm going to ask again, and I don't think that I need to go back to the secretary's office and wait for her to have these guys have a cemetery work group meeting so that she can give them that directive. I'm asking for it politely, diplomatically. It's on the agenda. You're the cemetery work team. That's what you get paid to do. And I would like to know if you could do that and how long it will take.
It certainly is something we could consolidate, but for the most part, I just can't think, I'd have to ask Paul, of any other data that we could provide to that report. That was a exhaustively comprehensive report, as well as exhaustively comprehensive timeline that was established. It took a good amount of time for all of us to provide the information and then to ultimately have enrollments compile it. I guess the question would be then, you know, how, I guess it's a roll-up in a different way of just lands areas, just our areas. I guess I'm just not clear on that because there's no more data that we can provide of work that has been done, in my opinion.
Pat?
I wrote down a lot of notes, so I think she's looking for us to review the 950 pages and come up with a historical, chronological bullet point type summary page, like an executive historical chronological report. And I think we can do that. I don't know if it'll meet her needs. You know, we could show her a draft to say, here's what we came up with. What do you think? You need more information? Kind
Right.
of work with her around that. Maybe instead of trying to work separately, maybe we just, you know, Cathy, just come on over and we'll try to figure it out together.
Thank you. Jenny?
I'd like to call for the question, but I do have one question. I believe that chronological report has been done already from the trust department.
It's
So
not in any kind of chronological order. There is no, again, I'm going to say all of the people components, because they're all different. There's land and environmental. There's these guys. Then there's the trust and enrollment side. And so what I'm looking for, I guess, is the more technical information regarding how these guys were involved and when. And then also Pat Pelkey, because he specifically is involved with the land office and how that all happened. You know, if you were to be able to tell the story, would you be able to tell the story? When did we get the land? The first baby was buried there. These are all the problems. That's what I'm looking for. And also, the chronological order of why it didn't get fixed in the first place.
And that's what Pat is proposing that he work with you on, because that information is contained in that 950-page report.
I don't
agree
think I
with you.
should have to do that.
I had to go through that report myself in order
Right.
to come up with recommendations for this work plan. And that's where we're saying that, you know, I thought we talked about the fact that we wanted to try to move forward and not move backwards. But I understand what you're saying, because we had to read that same report ourselves, and it wasn't in chronological order. It was all of the information that was developed from records management and the trust committee. So I can appreciate what you're asking for, and Pat is indicating that he will work with you. Jenny has called for the question now, so Pat will be working with you to try to develop that chronological report that you want. Jenny's called for the question, so the motion on the floor is to accept the work plan status update for the CIP 14-002 cemetery improvements. I'm going to ask the business committee to vote at this time. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions,
Abstain.
motion carries. David Jordan abstains.
I have got a
The
conflict.
next, yes,
I had a quick question on this. I've been sitting here with my hand up for the better part of 15 minutes.
I know, I'm sorry, but the call for the question means that we vote on the motion, so we move to the next agenda item. You can ask your question when we get to the General Tribal Council special presentation, which is 2 more items down. Then I will open it up. You can talk about the cemetery all you want, okay? So the next item on the agenda is to approve the activation of $63,000 from the approved FY 2016 CIP budget for CIP number 14-002 cemetery improvements. Troy, Paul?
Have Pat Toki stay here, please. I don't want him going. If we've got questions on that cemetery, I want him here.
He's here, Mike. You just be patient. You can't see him, he's sitting in the audience.
Madam Chair, I'd like to,
Make sure he wasn't leaving.
Madam Chair, something just happened in this room. You are in charge of all activity that goes on in this room while this meeting is in session. Luann Green and I saw Rocky Hill bring this item over and set it by where Cathy Metoxen was sitting. It was folded like this, and I don't think Cathy read it before she made her comments. But after she made her comments, I went back and I opened it up. And this is what it says. It's from psychic Veronica Young. This is what she stated to a group of us Monday night. This kid is coming through all the time, Josh. He offered 15 minutes free for his mom. He needs her to do some changing or she won't be here anymore. He's worried about 2 little kids. He had a message for Brett Metoxen. Hey bro, you were more like a brother than my real family. She saw them shaking hands and hitting each other on the backs. Brett said they would, and really hard too. Josh thanked him for his friendship and loyalty and always having his back. She said he comes through at so many readings. She does. He has a message for his mom. He's frantic. She said she knows he has a lot to say and would easily come through on paper. She does automatic writings. Where and what comes through is in the person's writing. Luann Green and I saw Rocky Hill put that by Cathy Metoxen's table just as she had gone out. I don't know if she was gone to the bathroom or what.
That's an unfortunate incident, and we're going to have to deal with that.
I'm going to demand
But
that.
I'm trying to chair the
demanding-
meeting, yes.
Okay.
So the other thing is that we can ask for security to come up.
Okay.
Because I cannot play referee in the back of the room and try to run the meeting at the same time.
I am demanding that Rocky Hill's employment with the Oneida tribe be terminated.
We will have to look into the situation, and you know the process for submitting that complaint. I did not see what occurred. I heard ruckus in the back of the room, but I don't know what happened. I wasn't back there, so I apologize. So we need to move on.